Now, the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon continues. Please support our wounded warriors and their families by calling in your contribution now. 888-294-8560. That's 888-294-8560.
And so far, your donations have totaled $223,209 for Fisher House. What an incredible showing of generosity and support for our military, for their spouses, family members, parents. Fisher House really does create a family atmosphere around all those who are caring for their loved ones, their wounded warriors, and we love that family atmosphere. That's why we are connected with Fisher House for 22 years now, because we've built here at WMAL a family, too. We're all part of the same community. We know how important we are in your life. It makes us wake up so early every morning, Patrice, and do this job. And Lord knows we need you, and you're important in our life. And so thanks to that family relationship that we have built, I am so proud to tell you that every dollar that you donate right now during this program will be matched. It'll be doubled to the tune of $40,000 by members of our family. WMAL listeners, Jeffrey and Janice out in Mount Airy. This isn't a corporation. This isn't a big company who's decided to make a corporate donation, which we love, by the way, and we welcome. But these are just two members of the WMAL family who have been listening for years and years and years, and they said, you know what, this year we're going to do a matching gift. And what a gift it is, $40,000 to Fisher House. So Jeffrey and Janice, we love you so much. We want to just consider this a giant radio hug from us. We're doing a big group hug right now with me and Patrice. Thank you so much for that matching gift. We are blown away by it. And the rest of you, listen, the rest is in your hands. All you got to do is call in, 888-294-8560. We're going to tell you, continue to tell you all morning long, the great work that Fisher House does. But you know the great work that they do. You know how wonderful they are. So every donation you make now will be doubled up to $40,000. You just got to make that phone call, 888-294-8560, or go online, WMAL.com. You'll see the Fisher House banner there and everything you need to do. Just click your way through and make that donation. Thank you so much. All right, joining us right now is retired Colonel Kurt Schlichter, of course, columnist at Townhall, and also author of about, what is it up to now, 47 books, Kurt Schlichter? Thank you for joining us.
69.
Oh, wow. Of course it is, yeah.
You're such a slacker, Kurt.
So obviously a soldier with that unbelievable joke. Hey, Kurt, thank you for being here. I appreciate talking with you. So,
well, thanks for having me at Oh Dark 30.
As everyone could probably imagine, Kurt and I are old friends. Married, going on 14, 15 years now, I think, Kurt.
Yeah.
And we have a lively exchange via text message, as you can imagine. On various things that go on. And so when Pete Hegseth was named as Secretary of Defense, Kurt and I both probably had the same reaction, I think, if I remember right, which was, well, I wasn't expecting that, but hey, President Trump wants him, so that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
He should be the Secretary of Defense. So, Kurt, explain to me why there are senators right now who don't take that same approach.
Well, as you know, Larry, there are a lot of Republican senators who are spineless invertebrates, slaves of the establishment, weenies, if you will.
Weenies? Is that a technical term?
Well, look, I'm trying to keep FCC compliant here. You know what I've said in my DM or my text. Holy cow. You think the 69 joke was bad.
Well, so you're making the case here. It really isn't about Pete Hegseth at this point because, I mean, listen, don't talk to me about qualifications because look at what the overqualified Lloyd Austin has done. This is really about senators stepping up and showing some judgment, proper judgment in supporting the incoming president.
Well, look, there's always some dynamic where the Senate wants to establish its authority using advise and consent. And they always have to take one scalp, and they've got, Matt Gaetz, and okay, that's fine. But remember, these people have a nearly, the depth of their impression of themselves is nearly bottomless. I mean, they just think they're the coolest. And the simple fact is a lot of senators are stupid and bad people.
Oh, boy.
Not all of them, maybe not even most of them, but there are a lot of them who are just trash. And they're attempting, and those trash are attempting to exert what power they think they have by stopping Donald Trump from doing what the voters told him to do. It's annoying. It's counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, because many of these are stupid, have forgotten what happened 15 years ago when you and I met, which was the Tea Party. And I remember being a member of that movement, and I was told it's a bad strategy to go and primary Republican senators, and B, you'll never win in the general. That didn't quite work out the way a lot of spineless hacks thought it would.
Yeah, just ask Liz Cheney.
So you're saying that really this is about she's probably moderating her position, or at least trying to seem like she's moderate, trying to seem open to her potential primary voters. From what your great tweet says here, she's got a primary coming up pretty soon. And so that's where she's trying to stake out her position. Is that what you're suggesting, Kurt? And maybe some of these other Republicans who are kind of on the fence?
Well, you're being specific about a specific senator. You're probably talking about Joni Ernst. And
Yes,
I
sorry.
hope, I have not seen Joni Ernst come out and specifically say, I am not going to support Pete Hegseth. So as a fellow colonel, because she was a colonel in the Army also, I am hoping that all this is regime media garbage, which is somehow trying to manipulate us into a conflict that doesn't exist, and that Joni Ernst will do the right thing when the time comes. The problem for Joni Ernst is she's now getting a lot of attention, and some of her past votes are a little soft. A little support for this bipartisan immigration capitulation.
Yeah, the border
maybe
thing.
some gun control dancing around.
I'll be honest with you,
and of
Kurt,
course
you nailed it. I've learned more about Joni Ernst in the last 48 hours than I ever did know, and I'm actually kind of surprised.
Yes, and I didn't want to know these things, but the spotlight's on her.
Yeah.
And her potential primary is coming up in Iowa. And I think that it would be great if she did the right thing and came through for the candidate who we Republicans voted for's nominee.
Right.
Because if she doesn't, I swear on a stack of Bibles, I will commit myself to kicking her butt out of office through a primary.
Yeah.
Now,
you're
I'm just
not
one
alone.
guy who. Well, that's the point. I'm just one guy. I write a column that's widely read by influential and sexually attractive people. But there are millions of people.
Were you waiting for a
me.
laugh there? Is that what you were waiting for? That was
No, I was
pathetic. That was absolutely pathetic that you actually paused for a laugh. Kurt,
oh dear God!
I only have a minute left
Dude,
here.
I could read the weather and you'd laugh.
That's true. It's happened before, in fact. No, hey, what's wrong with reading the weather? I literally do that for a living. Kurt, real fast, because we only have about a minute left. You have been writing for years and years and years here about the problems that are at the Pentagon, some of the woke policies, DEI policies, the fact that they've gone far afield from what their mission is. You've put, 28 years into the United States Army, if I remember right?
27.
27, thank you. It just feels like 28.
It seemed longer.
Can you just for a moment because you've done some research, I don't know if you've spoken with Mr. Hegseth, but you've certainly asked around. What is your assessment now about whether he's capable of doing what you think needs to get done?
Well, look, I don't know Pete Hegseth personally, but I feel I know him because he's the kind of guy I served with. He's a combat arms officer. A combat arms officer is a special thing in the Army. It's a guy who takes command of a combat arms unit, and I have commanded many units. At various levels. And what's required now is not a technician, it's not a manager, it's not another Robert McNamara. It is a leader. It is somebody who's going to go in and change the culture by applying combat boot to the collective booty of the generals and admirals who've embraced a culture of failure, a culture of DEI nonsense, a strategic illiteracy, of procurement failures, who have made it so we have not won a war in over 30 years. And I remember that war because I was there. And I got to tell you, I prefer ones we win to ones we lose in humiliation.
Or fight forever to a sad stalemate. Yeah. All right. We're going to leave it there.
Exactly.
Mr. Schlichter, go
Thank
back to
you,
sleep.
Kurt.
It's always good to talk with you. Thank you. I'll text you later.
Ahoy.
It's 7:16. Let's get to Jamie Whitten at the Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
You're listening to the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon. Call to donate 888-294-8560.
As we mentioned before, Fisher House is there, of course, for combat injuries and horrible accidents and training, but also there when life happens. And it appears life happens a lot in Alaska. Life happened to Courtney Spencer when she was pregnant with her little boy Percival. And Percival decided he didn't want to wait any longer and was born very, very early as a micro-preemie. And so that's where you pick up the story, Courtney. First of all, thank you for joining us. We loved our conversation with you last year. So let's get Percival's mom back.
Yeah, and that's it. Is Alaska is a very unique state. It's wonderful, huge military presence, but also very remote.
Yeah.
And so Colin this year actually just is retiring at 20 years from the Coast Guard.
Wow.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Alaska, and I went into preterm labor. We were medevac to Anchorage. And then there's that kind of thing where you're an hour away from home, you're a flight away from home, you don't have anywhere really to stay other than a hotel, and we were told about Fisher House. We knew of it there at the main Army base in Anchorage, and we ended up living there for almost 6 months while my son was in the NICU. It was both me and Colin, active duty member. He was able to stay there with us. His unit had him stationed, moved him for TDY for a little bit. But yeah, 6 months we lived in a Fisher House. Our son was born at 22 weeks and 2 days of gestation.
22 weeks. My goodness.
Well, tell us about Percival now. He was a little guy, but he's a big, I remember last year listening to your wonderful story. He had a lot of personality. What's your update on Percival?
My update right now is he is a 5-year-old, almost 6-year-old, and I scheduled this call for when he was asleep so I could do it.
Because there is no peace in the Spencer house right now.
He is a normal 5-year-old. He's in a general education kindergarten classroom. He has every thoughts and opinion and question. He is very interested in how the world works, It is amazing, and so many people who meet him in his school, every now and then, I think it was like physical therapy. Oh, was there any issues with his birth? And I'm like, well, let me tell you.
Hey, how much time do you have? That's amazing. Well, he's a miracle babe, but not a miracle, actually. It's amazing technology that you're getting babies who were born so early on in gestation, 22 weeks, and it's such a testament to the God's love and the power of life. And but that time you spent, it's so heart-wrenching to have a little preemie baby like that all hooked up and in the NICU, to have Fisher House there for that time, for you to be able to go and rest and relax. That must have made all the difference in the world for mom and dad.
It really did, because the way Fisher House is set up with a full kitchen and all the equipment you need, so it was like you could come home and make a nice. You weren't stuck in a little hotel room where it's like, okay, you have a bed and a sink, but you still have to figure out. It's an actual home setup, and especially where we were, Alaska Fisher House especially, it worked with local military units and nonprofits, and during the holidays, we were there over Christmas and New Year's. They had organizations come out and host dinners.
Wow.
So we could come home and there would just be a night, over the holidays after a day at the NICU. And speaking of, Percival's awake, and would you like to say hello?
Yes.
We would love to. Oh, I hope it wasn't my loud voice that woke him up. All right, let's get him on here. Hey, Percival. Percival, how you doing, man? Did you wake up just now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did you have a good dream?
Morning, bud.
Are you excited for Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I thought that would get you going. All right, you have a Merry
good one,
Christmas,
buddy.
Percival. It's always great to talk with you.
Yeah. And then now he's in the background singing. But
Yes,
yeah,
because it's Christmas. All I had to say was the magic word, Christmas, and that woke him up. All right.
Yep.
Courtney Spencer, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks for letting us
Courtney.
talk to Percival and put a smile on our face. And give our best to Colin. Congratulations,
Yes.
and thank him for 20 years as a Coast Guardsman.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Well, that's who you're helping. That's who you're helping when you
Yes.
donate to Fisher House Foundation. You're helping Courtney and her husband Colin take care of their little preemie, who then ends up being
A big dude.
really cool
Percival.
5-year-old
Yes.
who's
Big guy.
stealing the show here. So give a call, please, 888-294-8560. Give Fisher House a Christmas present if you could, and it'll be matched, by the way. Every dollar is matched right now by our great listeners, Jeffrey and Janice from Mount Airy, 888-294-8560.
Now, the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon continues. Please support our wounded warriors and their families by calling in your contribution now. 888-294-8560. That's 888-294-8560.
Please do make those donations. We're talking about everything that Fisher House does for the families, the loved ones, the parents, the children, the spouses
Yes.
of our wounded warriors when they need it most. And we just spoke about a great story about a little baby being born, a premature baby in NICU. And
That's right.
you hear those stories a lot. You hear about the training accidents. You hear about the combat injuries. What we don't talk about often, and we should spend more time talking about, is when somebody pays the ultimate price for our nation, when they give their life in service to our country. And when that happens overseas, their remains are brought back, as you know, to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, and the very solemn ceremony of the dignified transfer of remains takes place there. And I want you to just recognize for a moment, imagine being the parent of that brave child
Yes.
whose remains are coming back in a flag-draped coffin. Imagine being the wife or husband of your dearest loved one who just gave that ultimate price for our nation, and you're called to go to Dover for that dignified transfer of remains, and you have nowhere to stay. You have to figure out a hotel maybe you can't even afford. I know it's the last thing you're even thinking about at that moment, but it is an extra burden on someone who is feeling nothing but burden. Well, again, you know where I'm going with this. Fisher House saw that. They recognized that need, and they sprang to action. Fisher House has an incredible home built right there to handle the grief and handle the healing that needs to occur for those people who are feeling nothing but abstract pain in their lives because they've lost someone so important to them. That's what Fisher House does. That's who you're helping when you donate to Fisher House Foundation. And if it weren't for Fisher House, there wouldn't be any sort of comfort. There wouldn't be a place for people to stay and be with each other, by the way, family members staying there together as these comrades in arms are coming back, suffering the exact same calamity overseas. And so when I think about that, when I recognize what Fisher House has done for those families, when I imagine being the parent of a child who is serving in uniform, I hope I never have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But thank God Fisher House is there for all those who are dealing with it. And if that resonates with you, I hope it does. I know it does. Please, that $25 donation, that $100 donation right now continues Fisher House's work. And I'll say it again, for the people who need it the most, exactly when they need it the most. So please make that phone call. And again, those donations are being doubled right now at 888-294-8560. I'm sorry, Patrice. I just wanted to
It's okay.
to make
It's
sure
important.
because we hadn't talked about Dover yet, and it's such a critical part of what Fisher House does. Hey, let's get Steve Moore in here. Steve Moore, of course, one of our faves, economist extraordinary, advisor to the Trump campaign. And Steve, great talking with you here. You must be watching with great fascination and excitement as Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, two very successful businessmen, try to wrestle some common sense and efficiency into government. What is your take on the DOGE approach here and whether it can even be effective? Do you think they can get it done?
Yeah, well, good morning, Patrice, and good morning, Larry. I just haven't been able to stop smiling for the last 3 weeks, and especially given this. By the way, this is something I had urged Trump to do in his first term, and he's finally taken my advice. So this goes back, by the way, for those that are a little older, remember that we had something under Reagan called the Grace Commission. And it was very similar to what Trump is talking about. And back then, that Grace Commission identified hundreds of billions of dollars of saving. And now here we are, 40 years later, and the waste is in the trillions, not the hundreds of billions. So, yes, Elon Musk is exactly the right person to do this with Vivek Ramaswamy. Yes, we can find ways of dramatically cutting the waste, the inefficiency, the duplication, the obsolescence. I mean, my God, we have programs. I'm not exaggerating. We have programs that date back to World War I. Nobody even knows what they do. And we keep spending money on these things. What was the old saying by Ronald Reagan? The closest thing to immortality on this earth is a government program.
That's right.
It really is true. I mean, they just go on and on. So I think this is fantastic. And it's interesting now, even some of the Democrats are saying, well, maybe we should, find ways we can. Who's against cutting waste and inefficiency?
Well, here's the problem, Steve.
Yeah.
The Washington corridor is against it. Yeah, the Post saying that budget experts, and I'm quoting them here, any efficiency effort could prove disruptive to workers and businesses that rely on the certainty of federal regulations and spending. You know the business industry. Are they going to be sad when regulations are cut, or are they actually going to be applauding and being grateful for it?
Yeah, only the Washington Post would say this could be so traumatizing to businesses, to people. Maybe businesses, people in the swamp. And by the way, I know your radio show is in the swamp.
It is.
I live in the swamp myself. But look, the rest of the country is celebrating this, and it's amazing to me. It's taken so long for people, for an administration to look under the hood. And now, look, here's what's really interesting about this, Larry and Patrice. For this to work, you're going to need to get the federal employees to actually cooperate. And basically, who knows more where the waste is than the people actually work at these agencies, right? And look, most of them are great citizens. They're patriots. Come forward and say, hey, look, this program has been wasting, money. This is a way to reduce the cost. Look, we're running a $2 trillion deficit.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Steve,
it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican. You can't keep that up.
And Steve, those employers are there. You're right. Our listeners are those employees. And whenever we have a threatened government shutdown and we sort of talk about it, I get the emails from them saying they can cut half my department. They don't need, now, of course, they never want to be the ones who get cut. But it's true. Steve, real fast, I keep hearing it's like, oh, you can do all of that and you can find efficiency and you can kill redundancy and all of that stuff. But until you attack entitlements and military spending, you're not going to make a dent in that deficit. You're going to make a difference at all.
No, I don't agree with that. I think there is massive amounts of problem. And by the way, we can find one of the big areas where we can save money is we're not talking about cutting Social Security benefits or Medicare benefits. Trump has said, I'm not going to do that. And I think he's right to say we're not going to cut people's benefits. But there's hundreds of billions of dollars of fraudulent payments, Larry. Hundreds of billions. And, the Government Accountability Office has documented this, and nobody in Washington does anything about it. Right. So I think this is exciting. I want to make one other quick point. You're right. You have thousands of government employees listening to this show, probably tens of thousands. And what I proposed to Vivek and Ramos and Elon is, why not give the federal employees a bonus if they can come up with ways to cut government spending? Your department, if you have something if you have a proposal, hey, I think this would save $5 million, let's give that employee a 10% bonus. I mean, if you save $5 million, you're going to give you $500,000. Come on, folks, come forward.
You ruthless SOB. Look at you.
I'm a capitalist.
Steve Moore, always great to talk with you. Thank you. I know you're going to have fun during this transition and commenting and advising on this new administration. It's going to be great. Glad you're on that wall. And if we don't talk to you, our best to your family and happy holidays.
Okay, you too, guys. See ya.
7:45.
You're listening to the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon. Call to donate 888-294-8560.
As you know, Patrice Onwuka.
Yes.
I am a Navy football season ticket holder and a Navy football fan. They're my...
I couldn't guess. Every Friday I come in here and see you dressed in Navy from head to toe.
It's true. We got to get ready for game day. Well, it's because it's just a great atmosphere, and we love going to the stadium. The tailgating is amazing, and the United States Naval Academy is the greatest military academy on the planet. What?
I'm sure.
Did I say something wrong? Everyone knows it.
I mean, there may be some people who will say differently.
I've bet. Yes, I know there are. In fact, I'm quite sure there are. Well, it's funny. I've been hearing people have been like texting me and sending me tweets saying, "Why aren't you talking Army Navy football?" I always talk about Army Navy football during the Fisher House Radiothon, and they've got a point. They're right. And we have something to say about Army Navy football. First of all, Navy's going to shock the world and beat Army. I know Army's got a pretty good team, but they lost to Notre Dame in pretty much the same way that Navy did. And, and Navy has heart, and that's a big difference too, isn't it?
They don't too? Army doesn't have heart?
We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway,
you're just ribbing me. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. If Army thinks they're going to win this football game, then they should make some donate. Put their money where their mouth is and call 888-294-8560. If you're an Army football fan or if you're a Navy football fan, let's see who gets the most donations right now. And that'll be a clear indication
of who's going to win.
Of who's got a chance to win the game. Exactly. 888-294-8560. The game, of course, is right here in Landover, Maryland at Northwest Stadium. It's going to be exciting. And it just got a little bit more exciting.
Okay.
Because it was announced yesterday that the President of the United States will be going to the game.
Oh, wait. President-elect or president current?
President-elect and President former.
Okay.
Donald Trump is going to the game, not the guy right now. No, Joe Biden, I don't believe, has gone to any Army-Navy game this entire time he's been president.
I don't think
Which
he
is
cares.
shocking because he loves to tell the world that he was going to go to the Naval Academy and play football, except Roger Staubach was there. So nobody believes that. That said, now maybe Joe Biden will attend as well. I'm not sure. But Trump's going to be there. And listen, I've been to Army-Navy games. When Trump is there, the place goes insane for him. It is amazing to see. So that's kind of cool, actually.
That's going to be really cool.
Now, I don't know if he'll,
You know what they're going to do this time that's different?
What?
The Trump dance.
Oh, that's true. Oh, my gosh.
On the field and on the sidelines.
I want to see the midshipmen and the cadets doing the Trump dance. They should play YMCA at the stadium and just see what happens. I don't know if this is precedented for a president-elect to go to the game because, there is a ceremonial role for the president to play. He watches on one side of the field, and then at halftime, he crosses over to the other side of the field to root for both sides. Lately, it's been the Secretary of Defense who's done that job and taken over those duties. Who knows? Maybe they'll have the president-elect go out and do that. Why not? I mean, he's not commander-in-chief yet.
Listen, President Biden was asleep in Angola last week. If you can wake him up to actually get to the game, I doubt it. So, yes.
Things have changed here, guys. Trump's going to the Army-Navy game, and, this is a challenge. It's the Army-Navy Football Challenge, 888-294-8560. Put your money where your team spirit is, and let's see who wins this little contest. It's 7:52.